Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, the story of Sun and Moon, where previously Sun and Moon are trapped in Ultra Space and have met up with members of the Ultra Recon Squad, denizens of this place that have had their light stolen by Necrozma. They've teamed up with the Aether Foundation, but Sun and Moon have tried to join hands with them in order to get back home. Undergoing a test by Soliera to take down a Stakataka, Necrozma is drawn to Lunala after draining some of Solgaleo's light, as Necrozma is desperate to get back its own. Meanwhile, Captain Psycho of the Ultra Recon Squadron meets up with Luzmine in order to gain Beast Balls in order to capture the Ultra Beast. But Luzmine pulls a bit of a fast one on him, capturing his Naganadel in order to make it so that he's completely reliant on her. And they both travel back into Ultra Space in order to deal with Necrozma. But upon her arrival, Sun starts to blame Luzmine for the actions of Faba in taking over his great-grandfather's island. Luzmine, who's already quite a bit of an emotional wreck, gives in to her dependency upon Nihilego ability to make her feel good, and ends up fusing with the beast in the process. Meanwhile, the last of the trial captains for us to meet, Mina, comes across Guzma, who had been ejected from Ultra Space. At the behest of Wick, Mina takes him over to Executor Island, where the trial captains are training. In the medical ward, Guzma explains to all who will listen about what has happened to Luzmine, as she's grown more and more dependent upon the Nihilego, with Lily overhearing all of this. Meanwhile, Necrozma absorbs Lunala into itself. Sun, using one of the Beast Balls, captures the fallen Stakataka in order to fight back against Luzmine and her Pokemon, while Moon, at the behest of Soliera, goes to capture the Nihilego attached to Luzmine. But she hesitates, and she's not sure what doing that would do to Luzmine. Meanwhile, as Lily is mulling over how to deal with her mother, Mina comes across her with a pendant that belonged to Lily's father, revealing that he's still alive but with amnesia. As Luzmine continues to try to pursue Necrozma, Faba learns of an ultra wormhole opening above Alola, and has roped Plumeria into helping him so that she can finally get Guzma back. With a little encouragement from her brother, Lily has decided to undergo her own change and has teamed up with Sina Dexio and Samson Oak in order to find a way to access Ultra Space. It's then that suddenly the Zygarde cells in the possession of Sun and the ones in the possession of Sina and Dexio come racing towards Alola through the Ultra Wormhole, merging into a completed Zygarde. Meanwhile, Luzmine is defeated by Necrozma, and Moon finally decides that this is her best chance to potentially save Luzmine. Unfortunately, a blinding light comes shining out of the Ultra Wormhole, causing her to miss her shot potentially. And next thing you know, Sun is being dropped out of the Ultra Wormhole back towards Alola. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, the first chapter up is 32, Shock, Father Independent. We pick up with Sun being flown from the Ultra Wormhole towards Sina, Dexio, Lily, and Samson, as well as the completed Zygarde. Oh, can also make note of that. Get my buddy Zygarde in here. Sun immediately sneezes, feeling a bit of a chill, saying, it's cold, where am I? Lily calls out, Sun? Is that you, Sun? Sun calls out, huh? You're Lily, right? Lily says, yes. Sun then questions, what's with the get-up? Lily says, I'd like to ask you the same. Sun says, well, and then he notices what's holding him, saying, whoa, what is this thing? Dexia explains, the cells you collected, gather, and transformed into Zygarde's 100% form. Sun says, I see. Then all those squishies returned to Alola first. Returning to Alola first was to change into this form and meet us, squishy like the nickname Bonnie gave to the one Zygarde cell. Sun says, by the way, where are we? Samson Oak explains, the summit of Mount Lanakila. Lily says, we were informed that a tear would open in the sky, so we thought that maybe either Mother or you and Moon would come back. Sun says, right, that's right. Necrozma fused with Lunala, your mom, Miss, and the 3 from the Ultra Recon Squad. They got sucked into the tear one by one. I was the last one to go. Lily says, Mother too. So she also came back. Sun then says, where's Miss and the rest? Lily tells him, I haven't seen Moon or her mother. Sun then says, maybe they fell somewhere else then? We could try to search for them, but it's already dark out. That's it, search! He brings out his ride pager, bringing out the search Stoutland. Sun has it sniff his Pikachu shirt, saying, these clothes have Nihilego's sticky stuff on them. Pause. Follow the scent, Stoutland. We might be able to find where Miss and Lily's mom are. Come on, Cena, Dexio, and Professor What's-Your-Face, help us. Samson says, I'm Professor Samson Oak. We then cut to elsewhere on Lanakila Mountain, where Moon is passed out and is beginning to stir. Oh, how is this dude? Oh, are we really going to try to shoehorn this guy in? Because, shoot, even in the game, he was kind of, even in the game, he was kind of just there. Like, they barely managed to work him in at the last second in Sun and Moon. Shoot, did he even have that much of a plot within Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? Yeah, the leader of the Cantonian Gym. And honestly, it feels like the anime probably has given him the most attention, because at least he had a battle with Ash. That's about as far as I really know anything about him. But a figure approaches Moon, saying, I found her. Do I just need to bring her back with me? And he very easily picks up Moon, not to say that she's heavy or anything. Then again, I don't actually know how tall he is in comparison to other people. But he walks off with her in the snow. A lot of ice-type Pokemon. As we pick back up with Sun and the others, Dexio says, Professor Samson, I spotted quite a few Vulpix-like and Sandshrew-like Pokemon since we got here. Samson says, of course, those are Vulpix and Sandshrew's Alola forms. It's because Alola's volcanoes are quite lively. I believe they escaped from there, and those living in the snowy mountains adapted to their surroundings. Since I've been feeling pretty chilly now that it's nighttime, Lily, aren't you cold? Lily, very obviously cold, says, are we okay? So says, you're definitely not. Hold on a sec. Let's have Dollar warm you up. But suddenly they're approached by several ice-type Pokemon, including Sneasel. And says, come on, let us pass. Only for suddenly popping out of his Pokeball is Crabominable. It is greeted by the other ice-type Pokemon. Lily says, it looks like they've all gathered here because they like, what was his English name? Lute. There we go. Sun says, I see. Lute trained and evolved here after all. I guess he was the boss here too. Crabominable, waves his arm, gesturing for them to follow. Lily says, it looks like they know something. Sun says, never hurts to ask the locals, I guess. All right, let's go. And as they make their way further on, Crabominable continues to point to a direction. So I think there was an avalanche cutting off their path. Oh, but Crabominable winds up his fist, detaches it, and blows away all of the snow. Sun saying, huh? Oh, Lunala! Oh, snap! Lunala's cold clock. But wait, wasn't it bonded with Necrozma? Maybe Necrozma got what it needed? Samson says that Necrozma creature came to consume Alola's light in order to return to its perfect form, correct? Says, yeah, but when we left the other world, it was still fused with Lunala. Samson says, and now the two of them are separated. First it consumes Solgaleo's energy, and then Lunala's. Next will be, Lily says, that means at this rate, dawn may never come. Stoutland then sniffs out something, Sun saying, did you find something? Lute, do it here too. Lute uses its detachable fist to blow away the snow again, revealing Luzamine, still bonded with Nihilego, leaving Lily shocked to see her mother in this state. She approaches saying, this is Mother? But Luzamine seems unresponsive. As Lily approaches again, Luzamine glares, saying, hideous. Lily then backs away. Luzamine bites her lip, saying, "Why are you dressed so atrociously? Why don't you listen to what I say? Why do you do nothing but make me sad?" Sun then shouts, "Lily, get back!" But as Lily trembles, looking away from her mother, she then swallows and steps forward. She holds out the pendant, saying, "Look, mother." Luzamine stops in her tracks, gazing at it, saying, "That pendant." Lily then explains, saying, "Sometime over the past 6 months, the captain of Pony Island, Miss Mina, met someone who had this. Apparently, that person had lost his memories. Miss Mina said he was looking at the picture inside and crying. Aw. Take a look." She opens it, revealing a picture of a happy Luzamine, a young Galadian, and Lily. Luzamine is stunned, her eyes looking clearer than they ever have. He uses one of her tendrils to grab the locket, gazing at it. Lily goes on saying, "He said that these people were important to him, and he'd give anything to see them again. But he can't remember who they are. He has no idea how to even search for them." Miss Mina said he was crying, unsure of what to do. "Mother, we weren't abandoned. Father lost his memories and couldn't come home, even though he wanted to. So let's go search for him together." She holds Luzamine's tendril, saying, "Let's go meet Father." Luzamine then brings Lillian close and gives out a dreadful wail. In that instant, Nihilego ceases his bond with Luzamine, retracting into the beast ball. For a moment, she's still holding Lily, and then she collapses. Lily calling out to her mother. Samson examines Luzamine, saying, she's breathing. But this is... Cena says, "In any case, let's get her to a hospital quickly." Sun then calls out, "Zygarde, help us! Hey, are you listening? Where are you even looking?" And then he looks to where Zygarde is looking, as we see Necrozma standing over the downed Lunala. Just standing there, menacingly. Oh shoot, I gotta get Necrozma, but I also gotta get Lunala. There we go. We then cut over to Executor Island at the frontline camp. Hal comes bursting in the tent, shouting for his Gramps, only for the Aether Foundation employee to shush him. Hal covers his mouth, saying, "Sorry," but Guzma is now awake, and then he spots Hala sitting at the end of his bed. As Guzma weakly lifts his head, he says, "You, huh?" Hala doesn't respond. But Guzma grows angry, saying, "Don't make that face at me. I'm not your flop. I just didn't fit in with this stupid region's stupid rules." He then calls out Hal. Hal says, "What?" Guzma tells him, "You don't gotta be bound by stupid old Alola just because you're the Island Kahuna's grandson. If you can't do what you want or become what you want to become in this garbage region, hurry up and ditch it. Search for a world that'll let you achieve your goals. If you don't, you'll end up like me." Hal is kind of shocked by this. As Hal and Hala exit the tent, Hala asks him, "What is this about, Hal?" Hal, rather sheepishly, says, right, Gramps, you told me I couldn't train with the captains, right?" "Why?" Hala says, "Did you come again so that you could? The captain's training is already over. They aren't here." Hal says, "Guess so. That's why I'll have you train me instead." Hala says, "What for?" Hal, with a more serious look, says, "To help fight the crisis threatening Alola. As much as I can, at least. Right now, that's what I want to do the most." Hala then says, "Do you know why I refuse to let you participate in the captain's training?" Hal says, "I know, but you can't refuse me anymore. Look." Oh, we see that he has a Z-curse, C-ring. Hala says, Hal says, "I practiced all over Alola by myself over these last 6 months. Pichu evolved into Pikachu, and Piplup evolved into Rion. And before I knew it, there was a sparkling stone in my pocket. So I asked Olivia to make this for me. Now I can get you to train me, right?" Hala at first doesn't respond, but as he turns away, he says, "Let's begin, Hal." Hal says, You mean?" Hala turns to him with a smile, saying, "It's time to train." You know what? This is more than I expected for Hal, honestly. Even just this little bit is like more than I expected with how little Hal has been featured here. It's not as much as he kind of should have, but all things considered, it's more than I expected them to give him. We see Olivia and Kahili observing from the air on Skarmory, and they silently high-five each other. It's actually kind of cute. Again, you know what? That's more than I expected for a moment with those two. I expected how to be completely forgotten, so for him to even have that is more than I could have asked for. Olivia then asks, it says, now Hala's made a breakthrough too. Healy then says, all right, next, let's deliver Yahweh's Z-Ray. The captives were at Hokalani Observatory, right? Olivia says, yeah. Apparently, they're all heading to Lanakila Mountain under Mulaine's orders. I heard he has a vehicle he built with Sophocles. That aside, Kahili, about what you said earlier. Kahili says, oh, that's right. And we see a lot of Z crystals. Olivia says, I can't believe you actually gathered all the Z crystals. That's amazing. Okay, Kahili's been busy since the last time we saw her. Dang, impressive. Kahili says, I've worked hard these past 6 months. Olivia then questions, this one, right? It's definitely the first time I've seen it. You think this is a Z crystal too? I actually don't know what that is. Kinda looks like lichen rock though. Oh, what the heck? Moon finally awakens, only to find herself chained. Well, both her hands chained, saying, where in the world am I? What? A figure then approaches Moon in a cage, saying, Faba, are you awake now, Miss Poison? What the heck? And why does it look like someone in Moon's old clothes is right next to him? What the heck? Alright, next up is chapter 33, Tyrant, the Fiendish Man. That's Faba, alright. Moon calls out, I see you've done your research on me. You didn't even remember meeting me 6 months ago. Faba says, but of course. I know your past. You're from a prestigious family of Sinnoh scholars. Is she actually related to Platinum? And from a young age, you were an extremely clever, talented, blooming girl genius. Particularly when it came to poison. You became interested in poison-type Pokémon, then began to study itself and create some of your own. Is that why the Piplup ended up in the state that it was? At age 6, you earned your doctorate degree. Doctorate? Jesus! You were given the nickname Miss Poison. However, you melted through a room with the poison you created. Then you started an experiment to allow any Pokemon to become a poison type. And on occasion, you even fell victim to the poison yourself. Yeah, is that Platinum and Professor Rowan? Okay, yeah, her parents are definitely the Burlettses. Because of that, you began to look into counterpoisons and antidotes, leading you to become interested in pharmaceuticals. Fortunately, you dedicated yourself to pharmaceuticals rather than poison, and were brilliant in your studies on the subject. You became a pharmacist at age 10. Now, I'm sure your family was relieved by that fact. Unfortunately, however... Oh my god, that's Plume. Why are you dressed like that, girl? That's wild. Your sister's Pokemon, whom you used in place of an assistant, fell victim to sister's Pokemon. Then again, a Piplup. By this point in the timeline, Platinum wouldn't have a Piplup. It would already be Empoleon. Unless she got another Piplup. Moon says, stop. I don't need you to explain my past to me. I'm well aware. No, I'm just explaining it to the audience. More importantly, you're Miss Plumeria, aren't you? Why are you dressed up like me? Plumeria, they did you dirty in this series. Oh my god. Faba says, shall we get started, Plumeria? Moon says, hold on. Miss Plumeria, why are you taking his orders? But Plumeria says, shut it. Only you. Why were you the only ones? Moon then says, so Guzma is still missing? Plumeria doesn't respond as she exits. It's so weird to see her in that getup. It especially doesn't fit her because she's decidedly taller. Moon then questions, what are you planning to make her do while posing as me? Faba brings up a picture of the unconscious Luzmine, saying, take a good look. Moon says, Luzmine, and Lily? She's back in Alola. So she was able to defuse with that Nihilego. Faba, stroking his beard, says, I wanted her to rot hideously in the Ultra Beast's paradise, but she somehow managed to return to normal. Moreover, she looks like she may be regaining her sanity. This is far from ideal. I'd like for her to fuse once more with that disgusting ultra beast named Symbiont, or perhaps do something even worse. As someone who has psychic-type Pokemon, you don't think, and in this series, Faba was influencing Luzmin's mind, do you? With everything that we've had revealed so far, I wouldn't put it past this version of Faba. I cannot allow that family to return to normal. I cannot allow the three of them to be happy. I must never allow Lady Lily to feel hopeful again. Jesus, man! To ensure that, I must destroy anything or anyone who supports her. Moon questions, how would you go so far, right? Faba explains, saying, a child like you would never understand. My. It looks like Kahili and Olivia have made it to Hokulani Observatory. Are the captains gathering because they're ready to attack us here at Aether Paradise? Or are they after this? And he brings up a picture of Necrozma looming over Sun. Moon shouts, Necrozma, courier! And then we cut over to the showdown with Necrozma. Sun saying, Necrozma, why is it here? Samson says, if Zygarde is in Alola to protect the region's light energy, to Necrozma, Zygarde is an obstacle that must be destroyed. Sun shouts, damn it, why now? We've got to move Lily's mom. Dexio then calls out, if we can make it through here. Cinna says, yes. Past the cave, there's an elevator down to the base of the mountain. Sun shouts, all right, we'll get Necrozma out of the way as he releases all of his Pokemon to jump into the fray, including Mimikyu. All of them literally jump Necrozma all at once. Oh, snap! But as Torracat is smacked by Necrozma into the cliffside, it evolves into the Pokemon that got me back into Pokemon, especially Sun and Moon, my all-time favorite boy, the heavy hitter, Incineroar! And the crowd goes wild! Yes, Incineroar is my boy. I've been waiting so much. Hype chapter. Incineroar, my favorite. Love Incineroar. I gotta admit, I was actually kind of surprised when he was added to Smash, because I'm just like, hey, look, he's popular to me. I love this guy almost like same way I love Greninja. And then for him to be added to Smash, I'm just like, yes, Incineroar supremacy! But Dollar transforms into the heel wrestler Incineroar. Lily says, Dollar. Samson says, whoa, it evolved into a Incineroar. And Incineroar, just like the dark type he is, strikes at the back of Necrozma. It starts to lose its balance. Sun shouts, now, focus your attack on its left leg, the only thing keeping it aloft. And all the other Pokemon do just that, sending Necrozma hurtling into the cliff below. It hits the ground pretty hard. With Sun shouting, now's our chance, attack it together. And all of his Pokemon go riding on Stakataka, pinning Necrozma down to the ground. Oh, what the heck? Lily shouts, you're amazing, Sun. But then she notices something, saying, huh? As she spots his Meowth scent acting very strangely. What the heck? We then cut back over to the Hokulani Observatory, where Yahweh is cheering and crying tears of joy as he says, I've got a Z-ring on my arm again. What's his name again? Nanu tells him, now, instead of using pretend Z moves as you did in training, you can unleash as many real Inferno Overdrives as you want. Yahweh says, yes, sir. Acerola says, it's going to be our first time battling for real, though. And I think is Halima saying, as captains, we have yet to battle any challengers taking on the island trial after all. Nana says, don't sweat it. You can leave it to us old-timers to cover the raw power department. But Olivia pinches Nanu saying, you may be an old-timer, but I most certainly am not. Sophocles then shouts, preparations to attack are complete. Mullane follows behind him saying, thanks for waiting. Right this way, please. But as everyone heads outside, Mallow says, the heck is this? Sophocles says, Big Mo and I made it. It's the Vikavolt airship. It's not an actual Vikavolt, but a Vikavolt airship. Was that in the game at all? I have a lot of questions here. But Sophocles says, originally it was a power transformer used for summoning the totem Pokemon, but in an unexpected turn of events, it ended up being able to fly. So we remade it so it'd be big enough to fit people inside. And that's a lot of preparation. No wonder we had to cut 6 months later. Lana says, is this the device from before that couldn't summon the totem Pokemon even once? Mallow says, it's a failure. Acerola says, what? It's only gonna crash. Acerola's gonna pass. Dang. Elima grabs Mina's hand saying, where do you think you're going, Mina? Mina doesn't respond. Olivia says, I'll hitch a ride on Skarmory with Kahili. And she says, hugging Kahili. While Nana says, I'm old and get motion sick, kid. I'm gonna pass. While Hapu says, I won't be traveling on anything other than my Mudsdale. Only for Sophocles to use his, God, I'm forgetting what this Pokemon is. Togedemaru. There we go. Togedemaru. To shoot lightning at them, saying, it'll fly if I say it will. Hurry up and get on. Everyone boards and it takes off. They say, it's really flying. Great job, Sophocles. Mullane too. Sophocles and Mullane are in the pilot seats. Mullane saying, this footage is from the surveillance camera at the observatory. Some people in Ultra Beast fell from a crack in the sky that opened above Mount Lanakila. However, since it happened after sunset, we have yet to identify them. The others say, so they might have been Sun and Moon? Mullane says, correct. Of course, we're going to have to fight the Ultra Beasts, but please keep in mind that we may have to prioritize their emergency transport, depending on their physical condition. We're landing now, but suddenly, the ship starts to rattle. Oh God. Mallow says, see, I knew it would crash. Sophocles says, you're wrong. We've been attacked by the enemy. They all look outside to see them utterly surrounded by Ultra Beasts and members of the Aether Foundation. Jeez. Well, you got your work cut out for you. At least they're not doing nothing. Meanwhile, back with Sun and the others, Lily calls out, Sun, Scent is... But as Meowth continues to walk away, Sun doesn't really seem to react to it. He simply says, Lily, would you go with Dollar? I Scent. Then, let's see, after we get your mom to the hospital, just let it free on Memorial Hill on Akala Island. That's where Great Grant's grave is. Lily says, let it free? Sun says, Scent was only cooperating with me until we got my great-grandpa's island back. We cut to 5 years ago in Memorial Hill, the young son in front of his great-grandfather's grave. Wait, so there was another Meowth named Scent? Okay, the English version really dropped the ball on this. Peso, Cent, Dollar. I'm going to get Gramps' island back no matter what. I'll save 100 million yen and buy it back from that Faba guy, just like I promised. So, it only has to be until then. Would you help me, please? Two of the Meowths look at each other and just kind of walk off. But one Meowth still continues to sit there. Sun looks back at it saying, aren't you going to follow them, Scent? But it just kind of stares at him. Jeez. Scent only made an effort during battles because it knew they were a shortcut to saving the 100 million yen. It wanted to get the island back even more than I did. I still didn't doubt Faba even after the construction started on Aether Paradise. And I'm sure Scent realized how stupid I was. That's why it's still a Meowth after these 5 years. It may have gotten strong, but that's proof that we're not friends. Lily says, if that were the case, wouldn't Scent have left you sooner? Sun says, either way, Scent lost his reason to stay. The second Faba refused to accept my money. I told Scent that it could do whatever it wanted once we returned from the Ultra Wormhole. Those are its true feelings. But suddenly, Sun's other Pokemon come raining down around him. He calls out to each of them as we see Necrozma making its way up the cliff, with Stakataka still grappling it. Sun calls out to the others, hurry, while Drachma is holding it back. Samson says, Cena, Dexio, protect the girl and her mother. Dexio says, yes, sir. And Samson brings out his Pokemon saying, I'll be joining you, son, bringing out an Alolan Graveler and Golem. Meanwhile, Cena and Dexio bring out Glaceon and Umbreon, making their way into the cave with Lily and Luzamine. They make their way to the lift and use it to make their way down. Oh, Jesus, what the heck? Suddenly, Dexio is shot in the arm with something. He falls to his knees, not dropping Luzamine though. Cena calls out to him. Gripping his arm, he says, I was grazed. Cena examines it, saying, you've been poisoned. Suddenly, more shots go off. Cena protects Lily, and dang, get on you, Dexio. He takes another shot protecting Luzmine. He says, they're after Miss Luzmine. It's coming from over there. As they look up on the cliff face, Lily is shocked as she sees Moon. He says to herself, arrows? Poison? Lily calls out, no, it can't be. Moon thinks that Mother is still a threat. I have to tell her, Moon, please stop. Oh boy. As Faba watches, he rubs his hands together, saying, just a little more until it's over. Once that woman dies a hideous, painful death, my pain will end. Oh, you're the ultimate incel, huh? A voice then calls out to him, that's right, Faba. Faba turns with a menacing look in his eyes, saying, I may have said that my title didn't matter, but I never gave you permission to drop the mister. But then he's shocked as Gladion grips him by the shoulder, saying, it's over. I hope you were recording all of that, Gladion, because an admission of attempted murder? Ooh, he gonna go to jail. Alright, and it's the last chapter we'll be doing today. Well, to end this video. Destroy. Results of the training. Faba recoils, saying, young Master Gladion and Miss Poison? He's shocked as he sees Moon riding on Gladion's Citadel Valley. Faba shouts, what is security doing? We have intruders! But Gladion tells him, who's the real intruder here? This is my house. Yeah, go off, young master. Me, Lily, and Mom. Dad, too. He's coming back. Soon. This house belongs to the four of us. Faba seems aghast, saying, your father is coming back? Suddenly, there's a loud sound as we see the figure that picked up Moon previously with his guitar near an amp, saying, hey, Promoter Faba, how long are you gonna keep this superstar waiting? Gladion questions, who are you? The figure jumps in. I thought that was a guitar case, but he has the amp connected to it. Is that the guitar itself? Says, I'm Ryuki, a Pokemon Battle Superstar. Okay, so he is playing the guitar case. I was wondering about that. Moon questions, why is he playing a guitar case? Gladion, looking exhausted, says, did Faba hire you as a bodyguard? With Ryuki saying, no. Didn't I just tell you? Your boy Ryuki is a superstar. A superstar needs the coolest, hottest, and best stage available. Though Moon, hearing that, says, which is it? But Ryuki says, in other words, a battle with the strongest opponent. I mean, yeah, that's essentially what his character is, because he's looking to make a name for himself. Gladion, exasperated, says, what a pain. Explain what his deal is, Faba. Faba says, oh, right, you see, sir, he's... And then Faba catches himself, thinking, why am I trying to answer him? Why am I being so polite? And Ryuki just bursts out saying, Ryuki, the superstar, came all the way to Alola to fight the Ultra Beast. In exchange for Promoter Faba setting the stage for me, I had to bring back that girl who was stranded on Mount Lanakila. Got it? Understand? Faba then shouts, Mr. Ryuki, please battle young Master Gladion. Ryuki turns to him saying, why? How come? Faba tells him that Pokemon was created to be an Ultra Beast killer. If you don't defeat the young master, all of the Ultra Beasts will be defeated. Oh no, I can't stop calling him young master. Ryuki takes a moment saying, for real? He then brings out his, what is it, Turninator? Yeah, I actually got it right, Turninator. Saying, looks like I've got no choice. Get ready to throw hands, young man. Turninator uses Flamethrower, but Silvally blocks it, defending Moon. As Gladion says, Moon, where are your Pokemon? Moon says, I don't have them. I looked for them right after you got me out of the cage, but even my bag was gone. Gladian questions, did Plumeria take it? Moon says no, the only thing she had was my bow. Gladian says he must have hidden it in Secret Lab B. Oh, I remember this area. I actually remember that part of Aether. Moon says, where's that? Gladian says, it's past Lab A where you were captured. It's like Faba's personal room. Silvally, accompany Moon. Silvally gives a nod. Gladian then brings out his lichen rock. Dust form? I think so. Oh, it's the midday form lichen rock. Oh, okay. Gladian got the midday form. Oh, that's interesting. All right, now I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, I would have thought midnight form would suit him a little bit better. Oh well. Gladian tells her, fight your way to the exit. I'll keep these guys busy. You've got to get back underground to the library. Even if it's just you. You can have this. Moon looks at the item saying, isn't this what you used when you rescued me? You used heatwave to melt through the cage and my handcuffs. I thought that you'd use a technical machine, but Client says, I knew you'd notice. You're pretty observant. Silvali's ability, RKS system, allows it to change into any type. That's thanks to this memory drive. There are 17 different drives. You can change Silvali's type by switching out the drives behind its left eye. Ryuki's Turtonator is both fire type and dragon type. Moon looks at the memory drive and brings out a disc saying, we'll use the rock type memory. He inserts it in Silvali, and then it uses rock throw against Turtonator as they try to make their way out. Ryuki says, where do you think you're going, Ultra Beast Killer? Are you gonna run away and steal my spotlight? You're not going anywhere. Oh. Turtonator fires off several rock spikes, one of them heading right towards Moon. Oh, jeez. We then cut over to the Pony Island Restitution Cave. Oh, wow, we're actually getting more How? Wow. Where Hal's Brioni is fighting against Hala's Beware. Beware. Taking it down with Bubble Beam. Nice. Hala sees this and says, excellent job. Hal giggles and Brioni evolves. Oh, man. Moon it's actually taking on me off guard to actually see any amount of dedication given to Hal. He says, whoa, you evolved into Primarina. It's all thanks to Gramps' training. Hala takes a moment and says, no, Hal. It's because you raised it well. But Hal then says, Gramps, remember how Guzma said that he wasn't your flop? What he meant by that was that his current condition was his own fault. It wasn't yours. This wasn't the first time Guzma told me that he didn't fit in with Alola's rules. In Haoli City on Route 2, he helped me when I got caught by Team Skull. Then he bought me a Tapu Koko at the Pokemon Center's cafe. In the flashback, Guzma just rather rudely, but not overly violently, sets down the coffee cup saying, this tastes like crap. In Alola, there's only one kind of Tapu Koko you can drink. As long as you're here, you've got no other choice. Hal questions, have you ever had a good Tapu Koko? Guzma says, yeah. Your grandpa took me to another region for a training battle. Whenever I think about spending my whole life on these 4 islands, it makes me shudder. Ever since I was a kid, all I've seen are familiar faces, living normal lives and forcing Alola's idea of normal onto me. And they treat folks who can't conform to that ideal of normal like they aren't welcome here. Do you want to try a good Tapu Koko? If you could make it to Team Skull's hideout, I'll treat you to one. Well, dang. Honestly, I wasn't expecting any kind of relationship between these two, period. But then again, given how close he used to be to Hala, Hala takes this in and says to Hal, I've been adamant in thinking that Alola's troubles must be solved by Alola's people. People like you and Guzma may be more suited for the role of Island Kahuna. Hal says, huh? But Guzma would say something like, why would I ever become an Island Kahuna for this stupid region? Wouldn't he? Hala laughs. And then says, we should get going to Mount Lanakila. But as they make their way outside, Hala looks to the sky, questioning, okay, I had to figure out what was going on here. Hala's Beware gets them out of the way of a plummeting Tapu Fini. Hala says, that's Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini then launches out an attack, but the figure moves in too fast. It's Buzzswole, and it strikes at Tapu Fini, who retreats inside its shell. As they face off, Hala says, this beast is absorption? Absorption? oh, are we using other names? Oh, we're using the code name. Suddenly, Hala gets a call. He says, Olivia. Olivia says, Hala, is there an Ultra Beast over there? Hala tells her, just now Absorption appeared and it's battling Tapu Fini. What's going on? Olivia, as she's battling Guzzlord, tells him the Tapus are scattering the Ultra Beasts and leading them to their respective islands. All of the captains are splitting up to support them. Oh, so we got all together only to split up? Yeah, Olivia's with Tapu Koko. Hala says, my goodness. Olivia explains, saying, you see, we all went to Mount Lanakila, but we got ambushed, then thrown into a fight with Faba, his subordinates, and a horde of Ultra Beasts. Then the 4 Tapus appeared. He says, I'm going to Mele Mele. Isarola is going to Akala, and Kahili is staying on Ula Ula. Yeah, so Olivia is with Tapu Koko. Hala has Tapu Fini. Isarola has Tapu Lele, and Kahili is with Tapu Bulu. Hala says, what about Nanu, Hapu, and the other captains? Olivia says they're fighting the Ultra Beasts that are still on Mount Lanakila. Hala, please protect Pony Island. Hala says you can count on me. How? Now isn't the time to be staring. We have to back Tapu Fini up. Hala says, okay. We then cut over to, I got his name so easily before. Elima, there we go, who has his Gumshoe use Breakneck Blitz, the Z move Breakneck Blitz, while Mina has her Ribombi use the Z move Twinkle Tackle on Electivire. Or, no, Xurkitree, there we go. Alima calls in saying, this is Alima, we defeated Lightning. Lana, in her serious mode, has her Araquanid use Hydro Vortex against Balcephalon. Hapu joins in and has her Mudsdale use Tectonic Rage to completely take it down. Hapu cheers saying, that's 2 bursts down. Oh, they were fighting individual bursts. Okay. Mulaney has his Dugtrio use Corkscrew Crash, while Sophocles has his Togedemaru use Gigavolt Havoc against 2 Nihilego. Mulaney calls in saying, this is Mulaney and Sophocles. We defeated 2 Symbiont. Sophocles calls out, there are still 2 left. We're going to chase them. Meanwhile, Kiawe has his Marowak use Inferno Overdrive. He wipes away his tears, saying, I finally got to use my own hands, a Z pose and a Z move to defeat an opponent. He's with Mallow fighting against Pheromosa, as Mallow has her, there's so many Pokemon. So many. It's really showing how many of these Pokemon's names I do not remember. Mallow's Serena uses High Jump Kick, Prop Kick, and Stomp. Jeez. She then says, finish it. Bloom Doom. Jeez, that's a bit overkill. As Mallow says, 1 beauty down. Yowie sits in shock, saying, add 2 for a total of 3 defeated. Nano listens in, saying, great work out there. Your training was definitively effective. That aside, what to do? Nano is observing the battle between Necrozma and Zygarde. He then spots the Ultra Recon squad, saying, who are they? Actually, where's Looker in all this? Now that I'm seeing Nano, I'm like, where's Looker? The members of the Ultra Recon squad watch the battle between Zygarde and Necrozma. Fico saying, the Blinding One is going to get hurt again. But Soliera then calls out, Captain, Zosia, look, Dulce, why is he here? Zosia says, he's going to fall right into the middle of the battle. But Soliera says, no, he's not falling. He's being pulled in by the Blinding One. What? Why would he be pulled in? What? Dulce is pulled towards Necrozma's back, and then Necrozma starts to shine. Wait, what did Dulce have? What? Like the final bit of light he needed? Okay, so I personally have no idea what the heck is about to happen here. But I do know that Necrozma has his completed form. Something Dulce had has caused that reaction. But now the question is, if Necrozma gets what it wants, I don't know the end of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. How do you deal with Necrozma? So I don't know what happens next. Honestly, I'm completely in the dark. I have no idea what Dulce could have had that would have caused this reaction. But it ain't looking good. I do like, though, that the captains were able to at least do something. Them constantly getting their butts handed to them by the Ultra Beasts was like, man, look, I fought the Ultra Beasts. They're made out to be terrifying entities, and granted, especially in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, once you go into the alternate dimensions where the Ultra Beasts have ravaged them, it is woof. Especially the one where Guzzlord went to town. Jesus. But the thing is, like, they're capable enough. Ultra Beast ain't that hard to take down. I'm just saying. But I'm glad we had all this. Like, honestly, even the stuff with Hal, I'm like, oh, this is actually not bad. It's not quite the same journey that Hal had in the game, but honestly speaking, from the vague amount of stuff I remember for Hal in the game, it's not the worst thing. The biggest downside is that essentially by having two protagonists, Hal's spot as one of them is kind of usurped, essentially. And honestly speaking, he kind of would have ended up redundant. It's the downside of the manga's want to have both the male and female protagonists actually be involved. Now that we're at a point where they don't really try to slot in the male or female protagonist, unfortunately a lot of the rival characters have a tendency to kind of get a bit of the shaft, which is kind of sad because I would have loved to see what the manga could have done with some of the rival characters for the past few adaptations. Like a little bit more justice, like Charon and stuff, because some of the rival characters, they get a bit of a good start. There's a good introduction to them, and then they just gotta drop off. Like, if you're not, like, super or locked in for the finale of the plot, you kinda get thrown by the wayside. But the moment for Lily wasn't bad. The moment for Hal wasn't bad. It's honestly plays out a little bit better than a lot of the other stuff for a lot of the other side characters who tended to get pushed to the side, at least in terms of my opinion. Like, even as someone who played the games, albeit quite a while ago, I find myself being like, you're doing a lot more for them than I thought you were gonna do, and I'm more appreciative of that more than anything else. Like the stuff you did for Gladian, Lily, Hal, even a lot of the stuff you did for Guzma when you didn't really have to. Even that little moment between Hal and Guzma in the cafe just kind of struck a weird chord with me that I wasn't really expecting. Honestly, I was kind of writing off a lot of these characters where it was just gonna be like, and they're over there doing stuff, whatever. We're moving on. But you took the time to actually do something with these characters. Even actually giving one last hurrah to the kahunas and trial captains too. Like, I'm really kind of impressed. Now, there are still quite a few characters who are missing, but you've impressed me so far. If you can actually manage to tie this up by doing something with Annabelle and look her right up into... Look, the fact that they did something with Ryuki and his existence is impressive to me too. You managed to slot that character in at the last second in a way that just made me go, you know what? I'm not even mad at it. I can honestly see this happening for his character. So I kind of got to give props to the writing staff yet again. You guys have managed to really pull the story together. Again, props. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I mean, Faba's character feels like he's really kind of gone off the deep end into a sadistic side that I'm just like, this kind of feels like he's accelerated his really mean tendencies a lot more than it feels like he should. But at the same time, I hate the guy, so I'm kind of fine with seeing him go down. Because essentially, it's his downfall in the Team Rainbow Rocket adaptation without the Team Rainbow Rocket. So it's just like, I'll take it. Knowing that that's where he ends up in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, them deciding to go all in on bad guy Faba, I'm just like, hey, go for it. He's a lovably hateable jerk. I'm fine with it. And man, y'all are really knocking it out of the park with making me hate this guy. I think that's about it. Like, I'm kind of bummed that Incineroar showed up and it's like, we don't really get to spend a lot of time with you, buddy. Yeah, I don't know. But then again, we still got 3 chapters left, so it might give me a little something extra. But it seems like the whole situation with Meowth is kind of taking more of a precedent, so we'll see. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on these chapters. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you in the next one. So then, take care. Bye-bye.